In episode 2, Billy wakes up to a FaceTime from Ryan, and Ryan's just trying to make chit-chat, but Billy is going through so much stress that he kind of snaps at him. Ryan made a movie that he wants Billy to watch, and Billy just snaps, yeah, I'll get to it later. Billy ends up checking himself when Ryan asks, are you mad at me? And Billy realizes just what a douchebag he's being. After apologizing to Ryan and getting off of FaceTime, Billy needs to get to work. He sends Kimiko and Frenchie to handle Crimson Countess. He himself is going to take on Gunpowder, but he's definitely going to need help with finding out what happened to Soldier Boy. And for that, he's going to need Mother's Milk. So he pays him a visit. Not great timing, though. Mother's Milk has Janine over that weekend. Not like Billy really cares, though. Billy tells Mother's Milk that he doesn't believe that Soldier Boy died the way they said. And if there's a weapon out there that killed him, it can definitely kill Homelander. Mother's Milk doesn't really have any interest in helping Billy out, but Billy does bring up what happened to his family. And that's when Mother's Milk snaps at him. Billy's about to leave, but Mother's Milk stops him and says, I might have something that could help you out in my files. And it's a paper on Gunpowder. But after Billy leaves, all Mother's Milk can think about is Soldier Boy and what happened to his family. And it's got him on edge. When he drops Janine off at Monique's, he explains to Monique that he tried. I mean, he gave it 12 months, but it's all he can think about. And Monique gives him her blessing to go do what he has to do. Billy, meanwhile, went to go find Gunpowder, and he finds him at a gun convention. And even though Bob Singer has Vaught's blessing, he does not have Gunpowder's blessing. Gunpowder is preaching to a choir that if Bob Singer is elected, there goes the Second Amendment. Billy listens to all of this, but bides his time and waits for Gunpowder to head to the bathroom. When he does, Billy tells him, hey man, I'm your biggest fan. But then he starts insulting him, pointing out it must have been really tough to be Soldier Boy's sidekick. And then hinting at the fact that Soldier Boy might have sexually abused Gunpowder back in the day because Gunpowder was so young. Gunpowder tries to brush it off by telling him he doesn't know what he's talking about, but Billy in fact does, because the piece of paper that Mother's Milk gave to him was a memo from Vought that they buried. And it was a complaint that Gunpowder filed to Vought begging them to take him off of Payback. And the reason was Soldier Boy's habitual abuse. Butcher threatens to blackmail Gunpowder if he doesn't give him the information he needs on what exactly happened with Soldier Boy. And if Gunpowder is thinking about killing him, well, that memo can reach the internet in about an hour. But Gunpowder just kind of shakes his head and says, I don't really care. Soldier Boy never touched me like that. But what Billy said really irked Gunpowder, even though he didn't show it in the bathroom. When Billy goes to his car, he starts getting shot at. Gunpowder is able to hit him in the leg and also graze his face, but Billy wisely uses a distraction with the car alarms and is able to get away. Frenchie and Kimiko, meanwhile, were out there looking for Crimson Countess, and they find her at a Vought amusement park. She does a daily show there all about Soldier Boy, about what a hero he is, about the fact that he's from the greatest city in America, Philadelphia, the birthplace of this country. And for a little bit of money, you can pay to actually meet her, although she's a shell of her former self. Frenchie and Kimiko do that, and this is tough for Kimiko because she's actually a really big fan of her, but Frenchie lets her know that they're there to do a job. So Kimiko, using her super strength, is able to jack Crimson Countess up against a wall. And they ask the same question that Billy asked to Gunpowder. What happened to Soldier Boy? Crimson Countess sticks to the story that Soldier Boy died a hero. And luckily for her, she's saved when the next group of autograph seekers comes in. Crimson Countess is able to push Kimiko and Frenchie back, escape into the park where she makes a pretty big scene by killing a guy. By accident. Now Huey is on to his own search mission to find out what exactly happened with Victoria and what Red River is. Through their connections, Huey and Starlight were able to figure out that Red River is a group home that is owned by Vought subsidiaries. They figured that must be where Vicky grew up. Huey starts cursing himself. He feels like an idiot who should have seen this earlier, that he was working for a soup the entire time. He also knows that he can't just leave. She's going to know something's up. He has to go into work. He definitely doesn't want to tell Billy. He doesn't want to hear the end of it. He figures Starlight and him can just do the job themselves. But Starlight has to go off to do a sound check because that day is Homelander's big birthday spectacular. So she tells him, don't do anything while I'm gone. He doesn't listen. He decides to head to Red River himself, posing as a possible adoptive parent. And Red River is a group home for soups. As he's talking to the head of the house, though, behind her on the television screen is Starlight and himself. And he tries to get out of there, but one of the kids points to the TV, and the woman recognizes him. She knows Huey is not only dating Starlight, but she knows that Huey is working for the feds. and she thinks this is really weird. So, acting quickly, he tells her that he's sterile. Him and Starlight are thinking about adopting, and she didn't want to make news by showing up, so she secretly sent him. This works. They head to the woman's office and start looking at potential children, but while doing that, he sneaks in a flash drive and steals all of the files on hand. When he gets back to his car, he starts looking the ones up from Victoria Newman. Sure enough, her name used to be Nadia, and she murdered a lot of people using her powers before she could truly understand them. She never was adopted, technically, but she was taken in by Stan Edgar. Stan Edgar was like a father figure to her. After getting this information, Huey had to head back to the office, and the first person he just happens to run into is Victoria Newman. She starts questioning where he's been, what he's been up to. She's definitely suspicious of something, but Huey ends up getting saved when Starlight shows up out of the blue and says that Huey was with her and they just recently got into a fight. They put on a great acting display, making it pretty awkward for Victoria until eventually she leaves. Huey then takes Starlight to his car to show her exactly what he found in that group home, and she's just as shocked as he was. Huey, though, is on edge, and he reveals to Starlight that he's just really frustrated. He felt like everything was starting to break his way. I mean, Victoria was truly a friend, or at least he thought. It turns out he was just a puppet. He then tells her that he may have signed them up to adopt a child. And that's the last thing she needs. Starlight has also had quite a day. She headed to the sound check for this ridiculous birthday spectacular. There she introduces Supersonic to Homelander, and Supersonic is a huge fan of Homelander, but he quickly finds out exactly the kind of person Homelander is when Homelander insults him because of the previous relationship with Starlight. They then get down to the actual rehearsal, and Homelander has made a few changes that Starlight does not like because Homelander is trying to paint his co-captain as really nothing more than a sex object, and she's not into that. She definitely does not want to sing Happy Birthday like Marilyn Monroe did, and when Homelander tries to make her, Stan Edgar jumps in and says she doesn't have to if she doesn't want to. Her numbers are trending way better than yours. People are actually tuning in for her. People might DVR it for you. So right now, she's calling the shots. So now she's got Huey telling her she might be a mom, and Homelander is definitely pissed off at her. But Homelander has to get going because he has to do his annual birthday save. There's a woman about to commit suicide on a rooftop, and there are cameras all over the place waiting for Homelander to save her. But Homelander's heart just isn't into it. He nicely asks her to step back from the ledge because he knows that it's a foregone conclusion that even if she jumps, he's going to catch her. But then his mood completely changes when he looks up at a TV screen that's overhead and he sees that Stormfront committed suicide that morning. She just couldn't bear being a charred up potato. And when Homelander sees that, his entire mood changes to, please step back from the ledge, to, why don't you just jump? He basically forces the woman to jump. He mourns for a little bit, but he has to head off to his birthday show. And he is in quite a mood. A-Train is the one to introduce him, and A-Train is wearing a new outfit that was not approved by Ashley. A-Train has been trying to redo his image with African roots because he no longer runs and doesn't want to tell anybody that. And this new outfit is pretty cringeworthy. It's not even really acknowledged on the show, though. He introduces both Starlight and Homelander just comments on his weight still. Well, Starlight starts talking about one of the foundations that's close to her heart, which is the Starlight House. It's a nonprofit dedicated to helping homeless and at-risk youth. Somebody from the stands yells that Homelander's Nazi died, and it's pretty audible. But he keeps a straight face even though he is seething inside. Starlight tries to surprise him by telling the audience that he has agreed to dedicate $10 million to the Starlight House, but he just says, nope, no, not at all. And he goes completely off script. He basically tells the audience that they need him. They don't need this crybaby that he's made out to be. He's being controlled by Vought, and they're controlling just about everybody. If you don't think you're being controlled by Vought, you are. He's done being controlled because at the end of the day, he's the real hero. Now, Billy Butcher did not see this on live television because when he got home, he was patching his wounds, and he finally opens up his computer to watch that video that Ryan sent him. It's a stop-motion video using Legos and an old voicemail from Becca, and it does cheer Billy up quite a bit. He decides to call a friend, Huey. He tells Huey that he was right. Things are good, Ryan's good. He really should just leave it well enough alone. And then out of nowhere, Huey decides to be honest with him and tell him that Newman's a soup. And if they're going to take Vought down, they're going to have to do whatever it takes. And whatever it takes is the Billy Butcher way. This wakes up Billy quite a bit. He ends up taking the Temp V, going and visiting Gunpowder one final time. And when Gunpowder shoots Billy, he realizes that bullets no longer affect him. Billy beats the crap out of Gunpowder until Gunpowder tells him the truth. He was never sexually abused by Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy never Superman that hoe. It was really just hazing gone too far. As for what happened to him, yeah, he didn't die in that accident. But Gunpowder has no idea how he died. He tells Billy that they were in Nicaragua in '84, and if he wants the truth, he should ask the CIA. That's who they were working for. When Billy asks, "Who was your CIA officer?" Gunpowder says it was Grace Mallory. And that's a pretty big surprise to Billy. But even though Gunpowder just told him everything, Billy's not about to let him walk. At the end of the day, Gunpowder is a piece of crap, so he kills him and finishes him off by using Homelander's lasers that come out of his eyes. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.